Well, thanks so much for being here.
Yes,
I'm
thanks
super
for having
excited. Yeah. Yeah. So you and I know each other because you came and taught a workshop for my grad students at DePaul. And it
Yes.
was amazing. And thank God I did it at the end of the quarter so that I could come after at least just one class and teach because they loved you more than they ever loved any of my teaching. So,
No.
and I literally, my face hurt because it was just such an awesome workshop.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. And, everybody thinks improv comedy. There were so many applicable things to the class that we're teaching, but also the business that they were in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I love that. So anyway, I don't know much about your background other than what I've read online.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear the origin story. So college, what happened there? And then, how did you get to where you are at today?
Sure. So yeah, I went to, first I went to community college just because I was
Chicago community?
I went to McHenry County in Illinois. And, because
I loved community college.
It was great. Like, I basically went for free because my parents were divorced and, I had financial aid and it was awesome.
Yeah. And I actually went to Northwestern after 2
awesome.
years of community college and they took all my credits. So
Yeah.
there's this myth that it doesn't transfer over, but they took all mine.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I went to Columbia College, Chicago, studied film.
Yeah.
And
which is, for those who don't know, premier college for artistic
yes.
folks. And
and it's crazy how different it is now versus then. Oh, this coffee is a problem. Oh my gosh, where was I talking about? Okay,
Columbia,
I went to Columbia.
We're in the way back. No, just kidding.
Yeah, it is way back.
No, not at all.
But yeah, it's just so different now versus then. But yeah, I studied kind of dipped my toes in every department of filmmaking. And
what led you to choose Columbia?
it was close to home. I just I was afraid of moving out of state, which I don't know why.
Same.
But
I feel like the kids these days are not afraid.
Yeah.
But I was the same. I didn't want to move away from home. Yeah.
But also I as a kid, I always wanted to live in Chicago. And it's why would I go somewhere else if I can live in Chicago? I love living here. In the film department, I was mostly a directing concentration. I think I was one class away. And but then I dabbled in one of my best friends, she was a dance major, so I did a lot of dance stuff there, and that was just a great experience. And then I graduated and had just my brain was goo from intensive creativity for a while. So I got a job in a hair salon.
Makes total sense.
Yeah, using that degree. But it was one of those okay, go get health insurance, go just make some money. And I worked there for a while. And then I was okay, I need to get the creativity flowing again. And I started taking a comedy writing class. And I was okay, yeah, this is fun. I took it back at the Annoyance Theater, which I don't even think they have a writing program anymore.
Oh.
But then a friend of mine from college, she was hey, do you want to do this improv competition? And I was what? I've never done improv before.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not gonna do that. She's you'll be fine. You'll be great. It's just a stupid thing. If we win, we get a run. And I was okay, I'll bite. So
that's pretty amazing because just you saying that makes my hands sweat. I'd be so nervous. So
I mean, I honestly was just I have no idea what I'm getting into.
Which was almost better because then you didn't overanalyze it.
And so she put together this. She was okay, I have a coach. Whoever shows up on this day, this is who's going to be on the team. We're going to have rehearsal at the Park District. Here we go. And it was me and 3 other women. And we got together. We did this improv run, and it was hilarious. And probably looking back, I'd be wow, you made a lot of mistakes.
You don't know what you don't know. It's almost better. Yeah.
Well, and that's what people say. They're man, you're you don't have a filter. And I was just well, because I don't have training.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we did that. And then I started taking classes at Second City, and then I got an internship, which then led to me working in the youth and teen department. And then I was working as a full-time admin person at Second City Training Center, kind of co-running the youth and teen program. And then I was let go from my job, which was
builds character.
You know what? It opened new opportunities and things, and honestly, that was a blessing in disguise. And I still maintained a really good relationship. It just was hey, I don't think this job's a good fit for what you want to do anymore. It was more, looking back, it was a nudge.
Yeah.
In the right direction. Being
and it's a great attitude to have. It
Yeah.
worked out better. And
Well, because they're we love you here. This job is just not, like you can't, like you're not functioning the best you can in this job. They're like, we still want you to teach here. Like I got fired, but like rehired in the same meeting. So like
They let you down easy.
yeah. So
And so they were basically saying your strengths are more on the teaching
Yes.
and creativity side
Yes.
versus.
yes, and I knew that, they knew that.
Yeah.
But that's, in the past, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
Whatever. No, but
Everybody
that's
gets
good for
fired,
people to know, though, because I think people sometimes think that's the end of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I guess like the whole philosophy that I, embrace, like, this yes and whatever
Yeah.
life, it is that thing. It's like, okay, cool. This is call scene on that chapter and start something new.
And build on it. Yeah.
Like where are your strengths? Where can you thrive other ways? I started teaching. I've been teaching for about 6 years, like just like a little bit dabbling, but then I've been like mostly only teaching for the last like 3 years.
Okay.
That kind of brings me to today.
Okay.
So
And you're doing a lot of different things today.
yeah.
So say a little bit more about that.
Yeah. I'm teaching improv and writing to adults and students, and I've been teaching in our wellness program here at Second City, which is really awesome. Improv for anxiety, improv for Parkinson's.
Oh my gosh.
And humor doesn't retire. I was just doing a residency at a senior home, where my oldest student was 95.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I thought
Yeah.
about a podcast where you go and just talk to folks in the home.
Oh my
'Cause
God,
They
they're
have such
amazing.
knowledge. My daughter did her 8th grade confirmation project and they went to the home and spent like week after week there. She loved it. She
Yeah.
became friends with the people there and
Oh,
they
yeah.
had great stories to tell. And
They're amazing. Like
Yeah.
their point of view and what they bring and like their reference level is the most fun to improvise with, because it's like, oh, like man, that's a like a deep
Yeah.
deep dig on, like that was like a very like specific thing, but like you wouldn't get that in a class where you have like a bunch of 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I feel like you hit a certain age and your filter is absolutely gone.
Yeah.
Like my parents are in their 80s. They don't give a shit. They
Yeah.
say whatever they think. Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
should have heard some of the things, or like sex jokes. I was like, what?
Oh, what? Yeah. You're like, I'm going immediately to church after this. Yeah. Or the shower. Yeah.
Or just laughing.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do that. Teaching through Second City. I also, I have a camp or a program that I run with a friend of mine named Stacy Smith. It's called S.H.E Camp. It stands for Sisterhood Humor and Empowerment.
Love it.
And it's a girls' comedy camp, or like weekend workshop. It's kind of like catered to like whatever you want us to do. We've run a couple of those at Second City. They've been really great to like host us and like run it as our own program. It's not owned by them, which is great. A couple of years ago, we were filmed on a documentary for HBO, which was awesome, but it has never been shown.
Oh, geez. Story of my life.
Yeah.
On the cutting room floor.
Yeah. Well, it was screened at Sundance, which is super cool.
Yeah.
It was produced by Lena Dunham and Jenny Connor. It was all about like women doing different things all over the world or all over the country, maybe, to like empower other women.
Yeah.
And so it was
kind of the point of this podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
I honestly wish it was available because I haven't seen it, but so that was really cool. So if that ever comes out, it'll give us a little bit more cred. But I've traveled to Birmingham, Alabama a couple times to teach it. And so it's been mostly in Chicago and Birmingham, which Birmingham is super random.
Yeah.
I think I just started tagging.
The comedy central of.
Yeah. I think I just started like tagging like specific. Well, one of the girls from Birmingham was in the original S.H.E camp and her mom knew about it. And then I was like tagging like all these like nonprofits and things like that with like all over, because I was going to Birmingham anyway.
Okay.
That's what it was. And then they're like, hey, we'll bite. And it worked out beautifully last year. We had this amazing group of girls. So S.H.E camp, and then
and why is it important to you to have a camp dedicated just to females in comedy?
I think especially with young girls. So like young girls like 9 to 12, they're in such a age where like I see it in my classes here.
Yeah.
They just start to kind of
go into a shell almost. Yeah, you're doing it physically. Yeah.
They kind of like clam up, and then like they let like the loud boys take over.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, they have so many smart, funny things to say.
It's no different in the boardroom, to be honest.
Honestly, yeah. And it's kind of like, oh, let's tackle that early. Let's give you some confidence. Let's give you some, and and sometimes there's amazing girls in the class that are leaders that are just like, hey, I can do this. And it helps another girl step up to
Yeah.
say like, oh, this is a safe space. Right. So it's just, yeah, it's kind of it's just creating a space for girls to be free, wild,
Yeah.
learn leadership skills, trust themselves, trust each other, have a positive image of themselves
Yeah.
physically, mentally, and also like kind of teaching girls to reach out to that girl who's alone, right?
Yeah, I like that.
It's working in that sense of ensemble. We all have something really valuable to bring to the table. So like that girl that like you don't know anything about that's at the lunch table, she's
Yeah.
probably an amazing cellist. And oh my God, like learn that about her.
Yeah.
So
Kind of an anti-bullying.
yeah.
Yeah. I love
yeah.
that.
So it's all sorts of things. Yeah, camaraderie, but also confidence, all those wonderful things.
Yeah, and I think that's such a great age. And I'm going to brag a little bit about my daughter. I have a 14-year-old. Today she's rapping in her talent show. I know. I literally woke up and I'm like, you inspire me.
Yes.
And I'm so proud. And I just the fact that she doesn't care what anybody thinks. If that was like the one thing I instilled in her, and I don't even know if I did or not, but it's amazing. So yeah. So she's getting up to rap, full on rap for the whole school. And
what is she rapping? Is it like
it's
original?
From Pitch Perfect. It's like a compilation. So there's some singing and then fast singing, slow singing, and then a rap.
Yes.
She's dancing, she's doing it all. I'm like,
awesome.
You go, girl.
I love it.
Yeah. But I do feel like, and one thing I talk about in my creativity and innovation classes is like when we're young, we're totally wild and free and come up with crazy ideas and say what we want.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a phase where it's sort of, I don't know, beaten out of us is the terrible way to say it, but it kind of goes away and the filter's put on. And then we get into business and they're like, we must be creative, we must be innovative. And it's like, well, how? We took all those tools away from us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We get so caught up in other things and it's a weird muscle. And that's one of the things I love about teaching is like seeing that like awakened in people. They're like, oh, that makes so much sense. It's easy. Oh, and it's like, just you got to learn how to play.
Yeah. That sense of play it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Even our workspaces, like our conference room, looks like every other bland conference room. But if you look at a kindergarten class, it's like full of color and markers and inspiration everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move my workspace to a kindergarten class and call it a day.
Yeah. Just sit on a ball and have juice boxes.
Have nap time and it sounds amazing.
You'd be so productive.
Yeah. Good. Okay. So you've got this S.H.E camp and teaching here.
Yeah. And then just like random workshops for like professional development in workplaces.
And what has that been like? Because I do think, the value is amazing. But I wonder if people get it, the serious, stodgy business folks. Do they get it?
Like for example, like the one I did a couple weeks ago, there were some really great takeaways. They'll just be like, oh yeah, I just got to be a better listener. I need to like slow down, recognize that I can, there's value in people besides just what they're pigeonholed into their job is. Like maybe giving people opportunities to like share their voice. But
what valuable lessons for business. Yeah.
So I think, or also just like seeing people who are like in a higher position, like coming, being on the same level and playing and take a risk, just being like, cool, we're all going to do this workshop together. Great. Let's put Dave in the hot seat and see him really be a goofy guy.
See him squirm. Yeah.
It's fun for them, but I think it does build a little bit of morale. I don't know maybe, a 6 month down the line or 3 month down the line, like, hey, how did this help you in your workshop? Maybe a follow-up thing would be cool.
Yeah.
But I haven't thought that far ahead yet.
That's a good idea to have it because it is kind of a perishable skill. Yeah. To have it reoccurring.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to business.
No, but it was, and the beauty of what you did was that you were doing those lessons without overtly doing those lessons. You know what I mean? Like you were showing them and having them interact and do it versus just standing up and telling them. Yes. Everybody thinks and knows these things, but doing it is a different story.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I lost my train of thought. You were saying something and I was... I was listening to you rather than thinking. Weird.
That's why I have a paper in front of me.
But yeah, I think those are basically the main things I'm doing for work now. And then like I'll babysit occasionally just to make ends meet. And I love it. Like, because even that, like, I don't know, I think just I have like great relationships with kids and just like they teach me so much. And it kind of, I take things that they're going through and like apply it to my work. Like, oh, okay, this 9-year-old boy is having trouble making friends at school. Cool.
Yeah.
How can I see that and apply that to my kids' classes? Like, do I see that in other kids? Or like, I don't know. It's just I kind of am a Jill of all trades.
I like that. Yeah. So what is your ultimate goal though with comedy and being creative? Because you music too, right?
Yeah, I teach a musical class for kids.
Okay.
So we write an original musical every 16 weeks and just finished it and my brain is dead.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And do they get to perform it for the parents and everything?
Yeah. So yeah, that's coming up in February. So yeah, I think ultimate goals.
Is it like SNL? Is that everyone's comedian? Is that this?
Oh my gosh. I mean,
cliche of comedians.
If I were to get hired on SNL, awesome. I wouldn't be like, no thanks.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Next. I would love to be on SNL. I mean, it'd be an amazing opportunity. But it's not the only end all be all.
Sure.
I think like a lot of people are like, well, this is how I get on SNL. It's like, okay, well, there's 12 people up there.
Right.
You know, like.
Well, and how does that happen? Do you know? I mean, you have to try out.
Yeah. So like, I mean, they go to different, they come here, they scout people, they come to IO where I'm also a performer.
Okay.
We do like these solo showcases.
Oh God. It makes my hands sweat literally.
Yeah. It's me too.
You're very brave, very brave.
It's terrifying. In March, it's 5 minutes of solo material, and then if they like you,
oh God,
like the people at IO like you, then they're just like, oh cool, let's pass them on to like the second round where like SNL producers come and watch like a special like one night showcase, and then they'll kind of like pick people from there, being like, hey, let's go have drinks, let's talk, let's see if you're a good person beyond the stage. And,
okay,
and then they bring you out to New York and you audition for Lauren, and then you could not get hired.
Yeah. Do you know people that have gone through this?
Yeah. I've got a couple friends on SNL right now.
Oh, and, amazing. Rubbing elbows.
But you can also get hired as a writer, which I would love that. But yeah, I guess like a major goal would be, and this is just a matter of me doing it, is writing a TV show and like being like a head writer on a TV show. And whether I'm in it or not, that would be, up to people.
Yeah. Well, I think of Tina Fey. I'm sure everybody references her, but she wrote Mean Girls and Bridesmaids. She didn't write it, but Kristen Wiig, right? Did she write it?
I don't know who wrote it. I know Paul Feig directed it.
Yeah.
I can't remember who wrote it.
But Mean Girls, anyway, it's like a age-old, movie that everybody loves. My daughter loves it. My husband actually likes it. And she wrote it, and I don't know that a lot of people know that she's the one behind that. So yeah, I could totally see you doing that.
Yeah,
so,
thanks.
Yeah, I'll be your accountability partner on that.
God, I love
that.
Actually, my friend Hope and I, we're getting together now, just sitting down, being like, okay, like we keep talking about how we want to do this.
You're teaching other people how to do it. Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I can tell you exactly. I can you can give me a pitch and I can break it down and be like, this is how to make it successful. This is what you need to do. But like at the end of the day, it's like, I'm too tired to do that for myself,
Yeah.
So I just need to work on that time management and make it happen.
And is there a formula or like blueprint to it? Would you say to writing and writing jokes and?
I mean, yeah, there's certain ways to approach it.
Sure.
Many ways. I guess you got to find what works for you.
Yeah.
There's some ways that I've been taught that I'm like, and that I pass on to others. And I'm like, yeah, see this? It's so easy. It's so easy. But yeah, I guess it's just sitting down, making the time to do it.
Yeah.
Even if
that's
you write
most writers,
if
myself
you write one
included.
sentence, you did it. Right.
Yeah.
Even if you just sat there in like meditative thought, being like, okay, cool, I'm working through this thing.
I actually went to a writing coach a while back for fiction, not comedy. And he would say, like, when you're going to the bathroom, just write stuff down because that's, a solid 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's better than nothing. And you just want to keep that flow going.
Yeah. I do some of my best thinking in the shower. And then or like, then I'll get out and write things down or.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of whatever works for
All
you.
right. I'm going to check in like 6 weeks from now and see where you're at. Yeah.
I will.
And if I had a watch on, that would have made a lot more sense. But
start the timer now. This thing's been running. Cool.
Yeah, good. And so I want to go back to some things that you said at the start. You mentioned when you went to work at the hair salon, you felt like you needed to get that creativity flowing. And talk a little bit about, because that's something that I struggle with. Like I go for the job that makes sense on paper. And then I end up miserable because I have this other thing pulling me in a creative direction. And so talk a little bit more about that.
I think I'm the type of person that like, I can't sit behind a desk and just be like, another spreadsheet. Here we go. Checking in on those numbers. Are we meeting those goals? I can't do that. Like I need.
You should write a movie about that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Called Office Space.
Yeah, that's true. I was thinking of that, but the female version.
Yeah,
there you
honestly. But I need variety. I need a change of atmosphere. I thrive on like, okay, what's next?
Yeah. Same.
And that wasn't serving that purpose. And I went into it knowing like, oh, this isn't anything to do with my career or my passions. It was like, oh, it was in the neighborhood I lived in. I needed a job.
Yeah, it was convenience. Yeah.
and it was great. Like every experience I have, every job I've had, I learn something about myself or something about working.
It's a data
with
point.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will always have like a reference for me, like inspiring different like comedy things down the line.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's all material.
Honestly, I mean, not that I'm like making fun of anything, but it's just like, okay, if you're in this situation, I actually wrote a pilot about working in a hair salon and I never did anything with it. So that's written. It's just not good. But it could be. You don't see a lot of TV shows in hair salons. So
there you go.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's amazing, interesting people that come in and out of those doors. So,
and if I speak from an innovation perspective, sometimes it's okay to have ideas sit in a greenhouse and kind of nurture them. And so go back to it and maybe it's the right time and it's,
or even like if there's like a nugget or a character in that thing that I want to extract and do in something else, right? It's that idea of creating from abundance, right? Getting all those ideas out there and then seeing what sticks versus, editing yourself. You just got to like get it on paper.
Yeah. So what were you like as a kid?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I saw that on paper. I was like, man, how do I answer that?
Well, and I just wonder because like, were you cracking people up at Christmas or, were you doing the talent show and telling jokes or performing or?
It was very weird because I was a very like quiet, sweet kid up until about like, I think like first grade. And then I started to like discover my weird and I was like, try this out. Right. Like I was always, like mimicking someone.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I never got in trouble because like if my mom.
You're like a cute kid. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was like blonde hair, blue eyes. And then you get it.
Yeah.
But like my mom would yell at me and I would do a direct imitation of how she was yelling at me. And then
she'd die laughing. Yeah.
Like, so she like couldn't get mad at me. Didn't work on my dad, but, I was wanted to be in like plays and things like that. But, my parents were like super religious and like didn't let me.
Oh,
so it was like, all right. Like,
was it like Footloose?
a little bit. But the thing is like, well, they let me have creativity with like kids in our church.
Yeah.
Right? Like me and my friends, we would like make like videos and talk shows and like little shorts and stuff. Like I was always doing that. I was always telling stories as a kid. And, so I was, I remember being a kid and being like, she's going to be on SNL one day, like 10 years old.
Yeah.
And
that's how I pictured it, to be honest. That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
And I don't have these skills or courage. So that's why I'm asking, because I'm complete opposite growing up.
Well,
so, yeah.
I mean, you have courage and things that I probably could never do. So everybody's different and wonderful in their own way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Own special unicorn.
Yay.
So that led me to my next question is, how did your family kind of react to it?
So when I decided to go to art school, my parents were super supportive of me doing it, but they also didn't fully understand it. I was the only one in my family to go to college.
Same.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. And they were like happy with the associate degree at the 2 year. They're like, why do you got to keep going?
Yeah. So they were like, oh yeah, like what are you doing? And I would be like in the middle of like a major project. They're like, what's your major again? I'd be like, oh my God, film. What does that mean? I don't know. And like even still to this day, like I'll be like, yeah, I'm doing an improv workshop. And my dad will be like, I don't understand like, are you just up there making people laugh? I'm like, no. I'm like, just come take one.
Yeah. Have they come and seen you?
They come see me do shows, but I think they still are just like, oh, I don't get it. Or like my dad will say things like, women shouldn't say that. And I'm like, well, I just did. So.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. These might sound like my parents slightly. So yeah.
Yeah. I think we probably came from similar
Which makes
backgrounds.
it more difficult to kind of break through and do the things that you want to do and follow your passions when you don't have your tribe kind of pushing you forward.
Yeah. Well, and they do always support me. And like, my God, I mean, like when there are like slow months and stuff, I mean, my parents and like my brother and sister, they're always just like, all right, just keep going. Just keep going. Like, they are
that's
super
good. Yeah.
supportive.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes my dad's like, what, you just get a real job. And I'm like, all right, I'll just go to my fake.
Just put a suit on every day.
Yeah. Like, he's just like, I just wish you had, 9 to 5 weekends off. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not my life.
No,
like,
yeah. And it would literally crush your soul.
Yeah. Well,
take it from me.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with the 9 to 5. I mean, like,
no, yeah.
My God, if
some
I
people
had
love it.
Reliable, consistent income, it'd be awesome.
Right.
Sometimes I'm like, woo, I just booked a job and I got, I was paid like $3,000 to teach this workshop. Awesome.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes I'm like, oh shit, I got $17 in my bank account.
Yeah.
It's not consistent, but it pushes me to work harder.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Not to like be like, oh, my financial woes, but you know, I'm doing it, and it's something that's hard for people. Like my dad is a now retired cop. So
okay.
Yeah. He's a Navy veteran, but retired cop.
Oh gosh.
So he's very like, this is
regimented.
How it should be,
yeah.
And like you do a job and you do it for the rest of your life.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. My parents definitely come from the generation of like, you should be happy you even have a job, and whether you like it or not is not relevant to the conversation.
Yeah. And I think that's a very different dynamic these days.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So you mentioned it a little bit, but does it feel like work, or does it feel like a shit ton of laughs like all the time? Or does it feel like work?
It's both. Because there's definitely the prep work feels like work.
Yeah.
Just being like, and I like I said, I care very much about my job. I want to deliver the best product I can.
Yeah.
So I'm going to walk in the door being like, this. I'm going to make sure that you understand it. I'm making sure that you're getting your money's worth, and like you're getting that, like you're excited about what you're doing, or you leave not feeling like I'm a failure, blah, blah, blah. So like it's work because, I'm prepared to like be the best I can, but it is also a ton of fun. But it is exhausting. Last night I was in this exact room teaching a class of 18 people, and when they're up there doing a scene, they're really only like listening to like their partner, or they should be.
Yeah.
And they're up there doing a 2-person scene, but I watch 9 scenes and I'm listening to both sides of the conversation and trying to remember everything that was said so that I can give them notes. So it's like I did a 3-hour improv show.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You go home and just completely drained. Yeah.
And like last night I did 2 classes back to back.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
And like I got home and I was like, holy smokes, I am exhausted.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is hard work because it's just being super present. It's just like being on and like not only like listening like that, but it's also like trying to be entertaining and engaging and all that. So it's hard work.
And then, of course. And then when you perform, what is it like when you get the reaction that you're looking for? Is it like adrenaline?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's something that I try my best not to be like, try and get that laugh, audience.
Yeah.
Because audiences can see that.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not genuine. But like when you've done something right, it's like, okay.
Yeah. And then do you kind of feed off the energy of the
sure.
Yeah. And you know when you got them hooked and laughing. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And it's like it's one thing to get like an audience response, but it's also another thing to be like, like, oh, you and I are doing a scene. It's like, ha, ha, ha. Okay, what's next?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? Like, it's really fun to feed off of that energy with your partners too.
I love that.
Yeah.
So do you think funny can be taught or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So okay.
Yeah.
So say a little bit more about that.
Yes, period.
Yeah.
Piece of hair that's flapping in my face.
Oh, boy.
All right. Let's see. I think comedy doesn't come. I think some people will walk into it and be like, "Oh, I've got this great joke my uncle told me. I can't wait to throw it down."
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that's not. Which that's super funny, great, but that's not the kind of comedy I teach.
Yeah.
So it's being in the moment and like honest, genuine reactions. That's the stuff that kills. Like laughter comes from recognition, like, oh, I know that guy. Oh, I've been in this position before. Or, oh man, like I know exactly what this person's gonna say. And then when it hits, it's like, bah,
Yeah.
So I think anybody, if you're a good listener and you're present, and you like in the forms of like improvisation and acting,
Yeah.
right? If you're really in the moment and you're showing that like, oh, like I'm here with you, we're creating this on the spot, like, and I can truly see that you're doing that. Anybody can do it, right?
Really?
And it takes absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because there's like everybody has like these wonderful, unique experiences, or like
Yeah.
the specificity that you can bring to an improv scene. Like you may be an astrophysicist and you're like, I don't have a funny bone in my body.
Yeah.
But hey, if I put you in a situation where like you can like deliver like specific information about like us being in a laboratory or a like, air control, I don't even know anything about it. But like if you can give us that information and show us how brilliant you are, you're going to kill. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Or like I don't know, just like the way like different people's brains work and them mashing together and like going on stage. It's magic.
Yeah. And who are the types of people that take these classes? Is it typically people like on your path or is it?
It's everything. It's everything.
I need to work up the bravery to do it.
You should.
Oh,
You'd
God.
be great.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you'd be great. It's sometimes it's like 20 somethings who are just like, yeah, like I moved here because like Second City is like what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, or they're like, I mean, I had a student a few terms ago being like, my goal is to be a late night talk show host.
Oh.
Okay, go get it.
Yeah. Smart though to incorporate comedy for sure. Yeah.
And then there's like lawyers who are like, I just want to be a better public speaker.
Okay.
Or then there's like doctors who I want better bedside manner, right? Or
that's really cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or like I said, we have that humor doesn't retire class. I am older and I want to keep my brain sharp. This is something now that I'm retired.
You need to record that.
What's that?
The humor doesn't retire class.
Oh man,
I don't know if they'd let you,
somebody
but
did a documentary on them. There's like this like advanced ensemble that somebody did a film on. But
yeah,
the nursing home one was amazing.
it
was like a medical study, so like I couldn't like take pictures or anything.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was in partnership with Northwestern.
Okay.
About like aging and improvisation. And they loved it so much, though, that they're like, we just want to keep this going.
Oh.
So
one of the things I study is actually humor in the workplace and the positive benefits. And there are studies that show like people have had like terminal illness or, really bad illness, and then they incorporate humor and they make a turnaround, or cops and nurses in the ER use humor, like kind of that gallows humor to cope with really difficult, stressful situations. It's so powerful. It's unbelievable.
Oh man, I want to do improv workshops with cops.
There you go.
Badly.
That would be good because they kind of need a morale boost. I mean, they kind of get it from all angles, and they do deal with tough things on a daily basis.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, just.
But because my husband's a sergeant on the job still.
Yeah.
And so I spent 10 years on the job. We always laughed that like cop humor is just the funniest because it's like another level of ball busting that you will never, it would never fly in corporate America or anyway. Yeah. So like you can do crazy things and say crazy things that would never fly. And you're riding around with the same person all day for 8 to 10 hours in a squad car. So the amount of intimacy that you have with that person is unprecedented. Yeah.
I would love to write a show about my father. My dad was in the Schaumburg Police Department for 37 years. Like
we'll thank him for his service. Yeah.
He was. But like, I mean, there was like a bulletin board of like Dave Ante's quotes.
Dave Anteisms. Yeah.
Like they used to like make fun of him, and he's very hot-headed and very easy to just crank up. So the more that happens, that's cop cop humor for you.
And is he funny or is your mom funny? Yeah.
Well, yeah, both my parents are super funny. In very weird way. Like my mom is very like goofy, kind of like irony humor, and my dad is kind of like dirty humor.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I got a good mix of it.
And is there a discernment between people that are kind of naturally funny like that versus like people in your world?
Like, what do you mean?
I mean, like my brother is pretty hilarious, but I don't know that he'd be good in a class to learn kind of the pickup. You know what I mean?
I guess I guess you got to find that drive to want to do that.
Yeah.
Like you could have the funniest person. Like my brother is super funny, but he would never get on stage.
Never.
My father would never get on stage, never take an improv class. Because they're just like, I don't want the attention on me.
Yeah.
I think there has to be like a bit of a like
showmanship and
exactly. That's the word I was thinking of too. Like you have to want to do that.
Yeah.
And the people that don't want to do that, like we have amazing, like I've taught amazing writers. It's like, no, I just want to write things for other people to do. Right. So I think humor can come out in various ways, or you could be a painter and your paintings could be hilarious, or a cartoonist, right?
Yeah.
Humor can come out of
manifest in several ways. Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for. Manifest. Thank you.
Do you still get nervous when you go on stage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you combat those nerves?
Just say, shut up. You've done this a million times.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, well, I don't get nervous going into like an improv show. Like I get super nervous on camera auditions or like,
okay.
I psych myself out and it's weird. And it's like, you've got this.
Yeah.
And
you were in a commercial.
Yeah.
Recently, right? Or
a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was like a quintessential Chicago commercial.
Wintrust Bank. Yeah. But I just did a shoot last week and it was like a industrial like training video thing. And
oh geez.
Yeah. And I was like playing like somebody in like HR and just like very serious.
Yeah.
And it was like this like crazy corporate lingo that like
nobody talks.
compute.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like the camera was like probably like 10 feet away, and like there were like 6 clients behind the camera being like, and I was just like, the words aren't coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
It was a very weird sentence, but I felt like, oh, you should quit acting right now.
Oh, yeah.
But it was like, okay, you're not succeeding in this corporate video. Okay. Next.
Yeah, right. Who cares? Yeah. But you ultimately did it, right? And
yeah, eventually.
27 hours later.
Oh my God. Like some of them, they had to like do like some of the lines in chunks because it was just written in a way that like
is not the way you speak. Yeah.
I sat there and I got to the set early. I was writing my lines out verbatim, not even looking. I was like, I know these lines. But when it came time to film, like just like all these, it was like literally like one chunk. But anyway, neither here nor there.
No, I know. And so the reason I get so nervous when we talk about improv is I used to be deathly afraid of public speaking. Like I would get up, literally my flanks would sweat from my armpits, like down to my feet. It was unbelievable, like bodily. I forget my name.
Yeah, you could like be a cop and like, bust down a door and be
totally fine. Totally. Actually, I had to, when I was a cop, I would have to go testify. I would get so stinking nervous. I went to a hypnotist.
Wow.
Because I'm like, I have to be able to tell what happened in court. And I would get so nervous, especially if people are beating me up or it's a grand jury and there's, 50 people in the room. And eventually I just kept putting myself in those uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
And either I got to manage it or dissipate it or what, but I overcame it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like maybe the next challenge is improv, but I would be absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a safe space.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is terrified. They're like, this is something.
Yeah. And that's important to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no like naturals.
Nobody walks in being the funniest person in the room.
Really?
Absolutely not. Like there may be some people that I'm like, oh, wow, where'd that come from? But like, I'm not laughing at the guy who's like, I got this dirty joke and I'm gonna,
Yeah. I mean, I would literally wish that I would get in a car accident. Like if I had agreed to a speaking engagement, I'd be like, well, if I just get in like a fender bender, then I have an emergency situation to call and like get out of it. And I just eventually, but I also knew at the same time that I needed it to advance in business. Like you just need it for the visibility, for the kind of the leadership aspect of it. Mm-hmm. You just need it. And I just had to get over it.
Yeah.
And I still hit sweat and do weird bodily, like my nose runs. Yeah. Which is like, I have no correlation to public speaking, but whatever, it happens. And now if I don't get nervous, I'm kind of like, well, shit, I miss those nerves now because it was energy. That
adrenaline is like,
I don't want to be a robot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you have a favorite skit that you've done, or I'm sure you have a ton. Yeah. Or one that like really knocked it out of the park?
That's a good question.
With video that we could share. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what? There is something that I'm really proud of. I was working with this. There's a production company called Bitter Jester Creative, and they just gathered together like, oh, we're gonna get a bunch of our friends together. We're gonna shoot a bunch of shorts one summer, and then we did. It was supposed to be like this like little improvised short. And the chemistry between all of us there was like people flown in from all different parts that like they just love working with. And it ended up being this improvised pilot. And it was so fun. Like we weren't given much direction. And just the things that developed from it, it's really funny. And they ended up submitting it to the regional Emmys.
Oh, nice.
And it won an award for like best directing and like best cinematography or something like that. So it's like the Chicago region of the like National Academy of, I don't know what
it sounds impressive.
Yeah. It's whatever the Emmys are.
Yeah.
But it's regional.
Okay.
But like that's super cool that like I don't know.
Award-winning. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody's seen it. And like, I think they shopped it around to like a couple places or like being like, hey, this is one thing we did. Like, here's something that we're capable of. Like, we'd love to write something new, but nothing ever really came of it. But that's something that that was just like a good time.
And I like what you said. You said people from all over kind of came together to do it. Mm-hmm. And do you think that diversity aspect had something to do with, the success and outcome?
Yeah, perhaps. I think we were just it was just like a good time. Like one of the women was like in Once and Harry Potter on Broadway in New York. Yeah. Like she's like amazing. And like another person was from he's done like a bunch of horror movies out in LA and I don't know. It's just
so diverse background and experience. Yeah.
Just like various talent levels and stuff. But like we all like came together and it just turned out to be crazy good fun.
Yeah, I love that. And in your flow.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about flow now and being in that flow.
Yeah. So I guess that's one thing.
Well, you'll have to share that.
Yeah. It's called After 30.
Okay. I like that.
I can send you the link.
And so Chicago is kind of known as the comedy capital, if you will, right? I mean, that is true. So if you're an aspiring comedian, you want to come to Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that. Most people eventually, like, this is the time of year that everybody's like, bye, Chicago.
I don't blame you. Yeah. It's like Battleship Gray outside. Yeah.
And it's like, it's pilot season and they're all just like, well, see you later. Like, I've got a deal or I've got a big audition. Yeah. I'm going to see what I can do. So it's funny because like I go through my Instagram stories and I'm like, oh, they're leaving. Oh, interesting. Oh, bye. Here's my send off party.
Yeah.
So it's a big training ground and it's unfortunate that so many people leave.
Yeah.
Because
you kind of have to by nature of the business, right? To go to LA and
It's unfortunate that there's not more things filming in Chicago.
Yeah. It's Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, Chicago Med.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, cool. And if you get cast on one of those, you can't be recast for like 2 years.
Oh.
You can't like audition for another role, even if it's like one speaking part, like, help, my baby. Nothing.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, okay, well, cool, I did that.
Yeah. What do I do for the next? Yeah.
Yeah. And then, there just needs to be more here. And like, there's so many talented, amazing people.
So many.
Like people coming out of Columbia with like film and TV degrees. And there's probably just not the money here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did read the Yes and book and I'm sure you could recite it. But one of the things they talk about in there is being like politically correct and that comedians should kind of push the boundaries of that. Wanted to get your take on that. I know Dave Chappelle kind of got a lot of shit for going after the LGBTQ community, but his argument is like, well, I go after everybody, kind of equal opportunity offender.
I saw that question. I was like, oh man, because that Dave Chappelle special was, I mean, like people were all like, oh, that's blah, blah, blah. And I was like, but that's exactly it. He does go after everybody.
I thought it was hilarious. I mean, And he goes after women. He goes after white people, clearly. And it's just, and he's hilarious.
And his stuff makes you think.
Yeah.
Right. And he's not like tearing them down. He's just like, yo, man, this is like something that's pretty effed up in the world.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it worked. You got people talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. He does get the conversation going.
But in the book, they kind of talk about like, that's sort of the job is to push boundaries. Yeah. And make people feel a little.
Yeah. Kind of like question, like, is this the only way we can do things?
Yeah.
Right? Challenge authority, kind of put the mirror back on, like, who's running the show, kind of thing. I think one of the main things I teach and try to live by, when I'm performing and things like that, is you never want to punch down on somebody who's already in like a lower status position, right? So I like oftentimes like I'll get so many like bros. Like, I mean, even like last night, this class was 19 people. There were 3 women in the class. And there were like a lot of like older men in the class. It was very interesting. But it was just like dick jokes, and like even one of them said the C word. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Like, aren't we
We could do better.
this?
Yeah.
And that's what I say. I'm like, or people will say like pretty like, like tired subjects. That's kind of how I say it. It's like are
it's
we
not
tired
inventive
of
in any way. Yeah.
We're tired of talking about this. You can do better.
Yeah.
Like, that's easy.
Like
Show
political and Trump jokes. Like whether you love politics or hate, I'm sure most people are tapped out of that stuff. Yeah.
And especially like teaching kids, like they go to things that are like super easy. They're like Trump, like more Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, yeah, what else can we talk about?
Yeah.
Because I want to look at like, that old lady sitting on a bench feeding geese. What's her point of view of the world?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, show me this character rather than, some guy who's like, oh, I'm just trying to get laid. Right? Like,
yeah.
And that all has its place and it's funny sometimes, but it's just like, or like, stop making this like, one of the things I do in my S.H.E camp is with the girls, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to give you a suggestion. I want to see a scene between CEO and, employee, whatever.
Yeah.
And they always default to being a man boss.
Oh, interesting.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
And it's something, and I'll be like, okay, you're going to do the scene again. This time you're both women. They're like, oh. Or like one time I did like, okay, president, man. Astronaut, man. Right?
Oh my gosh, this is fascinating for me from an academic research perspective.
Honestly,
yeah.
I know. It was so interesting to see that. Or like guys up here and just like putting women in like girlfriend, mom, nurse roles.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, cool. Let's flip it. I actually like last night's theme of the week was status, like playing status and like taking somebody who's in high status and somebody who's in low status and flipping it.
Oh, okay.
So like what information can we have on this person to like all of a sudden, put this person on top? And it's kind of like a funny puzzle piece to improvise and figure out.
And it's got the surprise element. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, oh, let's play characters that we can bring up, right? Not punch down. Or let's play that lovable loser and make them win.
Yeah.
Right? Or if you're gonna fail gloriously. Like those are all like the things that kind of go through my mind with that. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, no, that was awesome. It is fascinating to me about the roles though, and the female, and even at a young age, we default to women doing more communal type things and men doing more of like the boss type things.
Yeah. Like cops. Like, why can't we be 2 lady cops?
Right. Yes.
Right. It's just like, why do we go to men all the time? So,
well, I actually had a female partner.
Thing.
Yeah. I like how you did that. You got that down. Yeah. I actually had a female partner. We had a tough time working together at first.
Really?
They'd be like, we have our one female on the team. We don't need any more.
Wow.
We're like, we went through the same training and academy that you went through. Like, why can't we be together? Why can't we work together?
God. I'm so interested in that.
Yeah.
I love it.
So any advice for aspiring comedians or creative folks like you?
Yeah. I guess try again.
Yeah, right. No. Because you're going to get a lot of rejection. Is really,
absolutely.
yeah.
You have to understand.
I don't care who you are. Yeah, you're going to get it. Yeah.
You have to understand that like many times that you're like rejected, it's like, it's not about you. I mean,
I'm like,
maybe
they just don't understand my genius.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, you can't have that like ego like being like, or like, oh, they don't get it. Right? Like people are going to see right through that.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like, oh, okay, you can go on audition and there's like a variety of people in the room. Who are they going to pick? They can only pick one. And it's not because like they hate you.
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
You're a terrible person. It's just today's not your day. And another, like I said before, like one door closes, another one opens. It's always, there's always room for a new opportunity, but sometimes you have to make those yourself. They're not just going to be handed to you.
Yeah.
I mean, I could sit here twiddling my thumbs being like, okay, when are you going to give me a part?
Right.
Like I know I'm never going to get put on main stage or ATC here. Because I'm in my 30s and that I've just kind of like passed like what they're looking for
okay.
that. But like that doesn't mean that I can't succeed in a different part. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, that was my one shot.
Right. Yeah.
Or, oh, I don't get on SNL. It doesn't mean I'm a failure. It just means there's something else for me.
And I think that's good advice for anybody, comedian or non-comedian. People in business is like, your career is not just going to happen to you. No one ever tapped me on the shoulder and was like, we'd like to make you vice president now. Which this never happens.
People, and I think people like, a little bit younger than my generation are like, that's what they think is going to happen.
Yeah, that's never happened to me.
It's like, well, when I get out of college, I'm probably going to like work at a production company. And it's like, well, but what if you don't?
Yeah.
Like, are you ready to like do something else or like try, like where else can you shine? Like if you don't get what you want, where else can you shine?
Yeah.
Like, I think like in terms of, like people wanting to like get into comedy or a creative field. Just, I don't know, keep trying and like find what gets you excited, right? Like we get those like synapse movement or like, that tingling in your ears or whatever when you're like, oh, this feels good. Like, or do things that scare you.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause eventually it doesn't get so scary anymore.
Yeah. I love that. So what can we expect aside from your amazing script that you're going to have in 6 weeks? Yeah. What else can we expect from you in the future?
Man, I don't know. I'd love to
put it in the universe.
Yeah, I'd love to keep traveling and teaching. And
I cannot stress how amazing the class was that you did. Really, I mean, it was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's something I love doing, and like as long as that fire's burning, I'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
I'd love to be a little bit more proactive about getting my name out there and being like, hey, this is something I offer. If you're interested, like, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
And I want to be performing and auditioning for more like film, TV, commercial stuff this year. My agency did like a big like cut of their roster like a year ago, and I was just kind of like, like kind of just like took a minute to be like, well, what am I gonna do? But then I was like, all right, shut up. Go take a class.
You have a great attitude, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, go take a class. Like, do things that you need, or like improve on things that like that will make you feel better going into the room the next time, right? Like, do the work so that you feel better walking through that door again later. And so that's what I'm doing now. I'm kind of like shopping for agents and all that stuff. So,
well, I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and appreciate your time. I think we'll end it there, but this was great for comedians and business people alike. So
cool. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.
Yay.